Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Power Play podcast, sponsored by Power Play Sports. This is episode 5, November 15th, 2021, and I am Michael Ledoux.
I am the Dan Dallin. Today's my 20-year wedding anniversary, and my wife is so awesome. She lets me podcast, probably because it's hockey.
I am Cameron Dallin.
And I'm Trey Ledoux.
And this week, our special guest, who's going to be interviewed by the Dan Dallin, is Coach Moffat from Plattsburgh University men's hockey program. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan. Get running with it.
All right, terrific. Well, thrilled to have you here with us, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And I apologize for missing it last week. I heard it was a great show, and my bedtime's pretty early nowadays with and trying to coach, the college team, the Mite team, and actually be a husband. So I go to bed pretty early and get up early, and I just fell asleep on the couch.
That is quite okay and understandable. We appreciate your making up for it by joining us here this week.
All right.
So now you graduated from SUNY Plattsburgh. You coached away from Plattsburgh, right, at Castleton, and then you're back at Plattsburgh again now as head coach. So can you just run us through a little bit? Because, you were an outstanding, is probably putting it mildly, hockey player while you were going to school at Plattsburgh. I want to hear about that, the Castleton experience, and then coming back to your alma mater.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I'll even go back a little bit further. Before I attended college at Plattsburgh, I played in the North American Hockey League for a year, and with the Kalamazoo K-Wings, and then I played in USHL with Des Moines Buccaneers, and then ended up coming to Plattsburgh State in 1994 and graduated in 98. I went on and played 2 years in the East Coast League. Just had some injuries, kind of saw the writing on the wall. I could have kept playing if I wanted to, but really wanted to get my life going. Knew I wanted to get into coaching. Knew I wanted to continue my education. So I came back to Plattsburgh, got my master's degree in counseling, school counseling, and my certificate of advanced study in education. So I went on, so I did that for 2 years, and I was a grad assistant coach here. And then I took a job at Seton Catholic, local high school here in Plattsburgh, and was the school counselor there for just about a year. And then actually Coach Houle left as the men's assistant, took the head women's spot, and I filled into his spot and was there for about 12 years as the assistant. And then went to Castleton for 3 years as a head coach there. And then came back for 3 years as Bob Emery's assistant. And then he left for Merrimack, and I was fortunate enough to get his job. And this is my 3rd year as the head coach here at Plattsburgh State.
Okay. Wow. Quite the run. So if we go back one more step, so before the NAHL, where were you playing youth hockey?
So I grew up just outside of Philadelphia in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, and played. I played for a small club team called Winter Sport Royals. And, back then there wasn't the elite teams and the AAA teams and everything like that. It was just either played A or B. Mm-hmm. And there was the little Flyers that had a AA team there. But I just played my local team. In fact, I was thinking about this today is I played Squirt B as a squirt. We had 8 kids and no goal. And we were called the Iron 8. So you had to play goalie. Everybody took a turn every other, a week. So if it was your turn to play goalie the following week, you practiced whatever it was, Monday and Wednesday as a goalie. And then you played goalie on Saturday, Sunday. Then you handed the pads to the kid next to you, and he did the same thing. So we had 8 kids. So 7 kids on the bench and your goalie. If you had a kid sick, it was great. You played the whole time. So I did that.
Nobody stopped watching it on the sidelines there, trying to make sure my kid got his fair play playing time, right?
Yeah, right.
That's right.
There's nobody with a stop watching it. That's for sure.
Right. That was the easiest coaching job anybody ever had, because they just had to come off. You were so tired. You only had 2 other guys. So get out there. But it was,
Right.
you got to play every position, and you played goalie, you played defense, you played left wing, right wing, center. So it was a lot of fun. Then I played that through Bantam, and then actually played midget AA with the Philadelphia Junior Flyers.
Mhm.
Did that for 2 years, and then went to the North American.
Okay, so you went to the NAHL at like 19, 18,
No, 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a young 17-year-old, I guess. And actually, sorry, no, I went as an 18-year-old. I was a young 18-year-old. And then I had 3 years of juniors after my midget years.
So coach, is that how you met Jay Paris? Cause Jay was one of our guests from Adirondack a couple weeks ago, and he's, I know he played in a couple of those teams. I know he played I think he played in the USHL out in Iowa.
He played for Dubuque. He was
Yeah.
a year or two older than I was. And then he was at Potsdam. And then his senior year, I mean, he's from Plattsburgh. He transferred into Plattsburgh. And
Oh, okay.
Jay's probably the only guy ever to win a SUNYAC championship with 2 different teams in back-to-back years. So he beat us junior here in when he was at Potsdam, and then transferred as a senior and won it as his senior year. He's probably the only guy that's done that.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
That's why I'm trying to think if we ought to make that into a trivia question later on.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we can convert that into a Northern New York trivia question. So how did you get up this way? Was it just what brought you to, after you hung up the skates professionally, what brought you up to Northern New York?
Yeah, so when I was in the USHL, Coach Emery recruited me here, and I had a couple other schools I was talking to. I was kind of destined, I feel like, to end up at Plattsburgh. So
Okay.
in the day, in the old CCHA, they had Kent State and Illinois Chicago. Well, University of Illinois Chicago is like in downtown Chicago, 50,000 kids. I wasn't the best student at all coming out of high school. And I remember my parents were like, there's no way you're going. You're going to fail out in a week, because the classes, you have, 200, 300 kids in your class. They're like, there's no way you're going there. And so then it was Kent State, and they ended up folding. And then actually they ended up folding after that as well. So it was the Friday before school started in August. And now you have to think back then, this is 1994. There was no internet. There was no like, I'll just get online and do have a virtual tour or anything like that.
Right.
I was talking to coach and I said, all right, yeah, I'm going to come up. I drove up on Friday. School started Monday. Never saw the campus, never was on a visit. I talked to him a ton, but that's how I ended up here at Plattsburgh. In fact, the old assistant coach, Brian Riley, who is now the head coach at Army, I was good friends with him. I called him up and he's like, hey, if you want a good hockey experience, go to Plattsburgh. You'll love it. I said, all right.
Right.
Took his word for it, and that's it. And fell in love with it as soon as I got here.
Yeah, right. Outdoor ice year round, practically.
That's right. Except July 4th.
Too many Montreal Canadiens fans up there for me, I'll tell you.
Them and the Bruins, and coming from Philly, neither one is.
Yeah, that probably doesn't work well for you, I'm sure.
No.
So tell us a little bit about that college hockey experience and how that fit in with classes. I think a lot of the youth that listen to this podcast and follow us, just see, visions of grandeur. I want to, there's a lot of steps along the way.
Yeah. When you get to college, it's all about time management and how you can, because I was fortunate. I lived away from home for a few years, so I was used to being away, right? And I was 20 when I came into college, so I was a little bit older. I don't know if I was mature, but I was just a little older. And so you could kind of figure it out. And for me, what ended up happening was, as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't the best student in high school, not because I couldn't do it, just I didn't try. And then once I got here and my parents said I was paying for it, I started, so, and I now I have 2 master's degrees. I would have never said I was going to have 2 master's degrees when I walked onto campus. I wanted to play 4 years of hockey, and then I was going to go on and play pro. And so I think the time management on there's 3 different parts, right? You have the academic piece to it, the athletic piece, and the social piece. You can only be good at 2 of those, and you can only do 2 at a time, right? And academics is always in there, unless it's a Saturday night. Basically, then you can, you have your social life and you be a college kid. But playing college hockey is a big time commitment. You have to sacrifice a lot. There's you're working out, you have community service events, you have study hall. You're just not a regular student, and it takes a lot. It's not for everybody, because it's not easy. Even at the Division III level, it's time consuming.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. But I kind of think of Plattsburgh as kind of the upper. For me, it's the upper echelon of Division III hockey. I mean, you guys have a reputation of being, I guess the premier program. I think you guys probably treat it a lot like a Division I program, don't you?
Well, that's exactly what we try to do, and that's
right.
What we try to get guys that are Division I mistakes, guys that fall
right.
through the crack, guys that didn't.
Yep.
Maybe it didn't just work out. In fact, I mean, we have 5 Division I transfers right now, and they'll tell you we get treated pretty well here, and we try to treat as well to make sure they have a good experience here. But we ask a lot in return for that. And as I alluded to earlier, the community service events, like tomorrow we're going to go help out JCEO and pack school bags for kids that aren't fortunate enough to have that. So it's an opportunity for our guys to learn to give back to the community and what it takes, to see kind of the other side. Because as hockey players, we're pretty privileged. We're lucky. Most of our families, in fact, I would say 90% of the families that play hockey are doing okay. And to be able to give back to somebody that isn't doing as well as you financially or doesn't have the same support system, I think it's real important.
Yes. So what are you looking for when you're finding these players, whether they're coming up to Division III or they're these, transfer ins? I mean, because you've got to have people that you say no to. I wonder how do you make that choice?
Well, obviously the first thing you see is how they play. Their skating is huge now. We all know if you can't skate now in today's game, you're going to struggle. You look for that hockey IQ or awareness and how they play away from the puck. I mean, the guys without the puck are the most important. Everybody kind of looks at the guy with the puck, but it's guys without the puck that really make the plays. So you want to watch for that. Then you start getting into character type things. You talk to coach, you talk to the old coach that, maybe the kid was traded from. You try to find out about that. So those are kind of how we started. And what we did in the past 2 years in recruiting is we might have like 9 centers on our team right now. We just were looking for centers. We were looking for captains. We were looking for leadership. So we have a bunch of centers that are playing right wing, left wing, just we don't have enough space. And we wanted to be really good down the middle. And then for our defensemen, we're looking for guys that are getting into the play, really mobile, obviously long. We want to have long sticks and long bodies. That's the thing. But we want to push the pace and guys getting up into the play and activating offensively.
No, terrific. Now, in looking over your bio on the page, it says that you've developed 13 All-Americans. Right? That's what it's.
Might be right.
Well, I mean, is that something that you're? How does that even occur? How does that happen? How does somebody go from college, just becoming this All-American?
Well, a lot of it is up to the kids, right? We're going to give them all the tools, but it's the guys that are on the ice before practice, on the ice after practice, doing the extra. Because we have 30 kids right now. they all work really hard between 8:30 and 10:30, our practice time, or 9 to 10:15. But what do they do after? What do they do before? What are they doing in the weight room? It's that type thing that those guys are the guys that separate themselves. And if you want to be an All-American, that's what you have to do. All the kids have the talent. It's just how bad do they want? Do they want to go out on they want to have extra beers on Sunday, or are they going to be in the gym? So
Right.
It really boils down to them. We have extra ice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have a shooting room. We have as many weights as you need. So it's, you can lead them to water, but they have to do it. They have to do it. And we just want to give them every opportunity that we can so they can develop. We watch video with the guys. We have one-on-one meetings with the guys. We have skill development sessions if they want, whatever they want, we're going to try to do.
Right. Because I've talked to some youth and they want to be better. But going and hitting the ice, not knowing what they could do on their own, in order to improve, seems to be a challenge for a few. Whether, to get faster or to get quicker on edges. Do you have any on or off ice advice for these sorts of players?
Well, I guess if we start in the summer, get off. It's one of those things. Every sport's becoming a year-round sport. Sometimes getting off the ice and doing, getting in the weight room is going to help, especially, for guys our age, that are coming to college. Like, get bigger, faster, stronger. If you're gonna be on the ice, work with a skill development coach. Make it worthwhile. Go out there for 45 minutes and work on something. Develop a plan. Just to go and, shooting pucks is great. But the guys that shoot pucks usually shoot them pretty well. The guys that stick handle usually stick handle pretty well. Develop a plan, come up, find your weaknesses, find what you have to get better at, develop a plan, find a coach. Because we all have strength coaches. We have mental coaches. We have hockey coaches. We have everything. If you're going to put that time and money into it, do it right. Don't just go out and play another tournament in June because, the guys down the street are doing that. It's 3 more basically useless games that there's no intensity. What are you playing for? Oh, because I can say I won the Cape Cod Cup, for the third time. Who cares? But if you spent that, you took that $500 and you got a skills coach and you worked twice a week for 8 weeks, you're going to get better. You're going to get better one-on-one, invest your money differently.
In your time too, right? Coach, do you have anybody, I was kind of curious about this, looking at your roster right now, or maybe your roster over the past 2 years, have you had a kid that came into camp, or a kid that, the old kind of the walk-on, or any kids that have just kind of, you said, geez, where did that kid come from? He really done a heck of a job for us, or he made it, that kind of kid.
Yeah. I guess to answer the first question, the walk-ons for us, to be honest, we haven't had a walk-on in a long, long time. But we've had kids that, boy, they really surprised us. They're better than we thought they were. And, I'm not going to name names, but we do have a couple kids like that right now. We're like, wow, he's much better than I thought. He skates much better than I thought, or he shoots it a lot better than I thought. And that's all. It's always a great surprise. But you also get the other guys too, where you're like, I thought he was going to be better. I thought he was right. Things. So it definitely works both ways, and it definitely evens itself out. But that's the trick on recruiting and scouting players, and trying to watch as much film on them. It's not an exact science, and some kids can really adjust quickly to the college game. And some kids, it might take 2 weeks. Some guys, it might take 2 months. Some guys, it might take a year. Some guys may never adjust. You're now, again, now you're 20 and you're playing against 24-year-olds. So now that you're the youngest, and that's a big difference, 4 years. Some of these guys, they're men, they're full-grown men, and
Right.
a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old that's maybe a late developer, and he's getting knocked around. So it's all on the kid, and again, how they develop, what they do in the summer, what they do in the gym, and what they do after practice.
Now, last year, oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. So this is your third year at Plattsburgh. Last year, right, there's no wins and losses. Totally got scrapped because of all the whole pandemic. What have you done for this year? And what is the outlook for this year? What kind of preparations have you done? What are you looking forward to your players accomplishing after having a year essentially away?
Yeah. It's been a big adjustment, for players. I call it that they're playing, sometimes they're playing COVID hockey, where they're not as intense, or they're reaching at pucks because they've just been, a year and a half. They haven't been hit, or had to battle for a puck. It's like, that guy got it. He's going to go down. It's mentally, no big deal. We'll get him next time. So I think that's been a little bit different. We've dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of hip injuries and groin injuries, and I think that's been due to COVID as well. And then we have about 18 kids that have never played at Plattsburgh before over the last 2 years as far as recruiting. So they're like, first week of practice, we had to have name tags on their helmets because we didn't know them all. So it was just the fact of them learning us and how we coach, and us learning them and how they like to be coached, or what motivates them, or what puts them down type thing. Like, hey, I was too hard on him, or I wasn't hard enough on that guy. So we're still learning. We're still developing an identity as a team. We're only 6 games into a 25 game schedule. So we're about a quarter of the way through.
Yep.
But we're still developing an identity. We don't have a set lineup yet. We're still trying to figure that out too. So, but the expectation here at Plattsburgh is always to win. And there's pressure involved, but there's privilege in that pressure. And what I mean by that is, like, people expect certain things from you, and you need to be able to execute and win some hockey games too. So I think that's important. And the guys are starting to learn that every game's so important. You only get 25 of them. It's not like juniors where you get to play 65. You only get 25. You have to be ready every night. Every game is huge.
Yeah. So that sounds like there's a lot
times
more mental stuff, added into that. You mentioned like being, guys are, he got the puck, I'll get it next time, right? That's a different mental outlook than before. And then with what we saw with the Olympics this past summer, obviously athletes' mental place is vitally important. What are you guys doing to help prepare and shape that for these guys?
Yeah, it's a real hot topic. In fact, we had a gentleman on in the fall named Mark Wick, who was a college coach that went through some mental issues, had some difficulties, and now he got out of coaching for a little bit. He's back into it, but he's helping other kids and teams, go through that. And it's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay you're going to have bad days. And sometimes, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you'd see a kid at practice and, he's having a bad day, and you'd get on him. So what I've learned from that is, like, we need to find out what's going on first before we get onto this guy, right? Like, have something going on at home. He might have had a really rough week academically. He might have had 4 finals this week. Like, hey, let's talk to him, find out what's happening. Maybe he broke up with his girlfriend, and then, okay, everything's good at home. All right, now what's going on in the rink? Because what we found out is not a lot of guys can compartmentalize it and practice really well if something's going on off the ice.
Right.
Same thing. If things aren't going well on the ice, things usually aren't going well off the ice too. They work hand in hand. So, I mean, coaching is, you're more a psychologist, friend, dad, brother than you are
Mhm.
coach. You
Going
know,
right back to those high school days of you being a counselor, man.
100%, 100%. Yeah, use it all the time. Use it all the time.
Yeah.
And, just, guys come in, hey, coach, I'm not playing, so you try to talk it through with him and be there for him. It's sometimes they think you're against them, and it's not the case at all. It's just, hey, we're trying to put the best team we can put on that night for that game.
Mhm.
And it's not personal. It's has nothing to do with that. We just feel that was the best group for that night. And you might be next week, you might be the next game, or you might be next month. You just never know when your time's going to be called, and when you're going to be called upon to step up and make an impact right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we're dealing with it a little even at the, we're starting to deal with it with our 14U team, quite honestly, coach. They have to start to understand it as we get to this level now. There's roles to be played by different kids in different times in the game. And yeah, as a coach, I try to do my best to explain those types of things. But, like you said, sometimes, people's feelings get hurt. And that's understandable because, everybody, the competitive edge that all your roster brings to the table is, that these guys have a great resume, and with these kids, they play the sport and they want to be on the ice all the time. They want to be on the ice in the last 40 seconds of the game in a 3-1 game, like we were talking about earlier. And sometimes you gotta make different decisions that are hard. So it's really is a learning experience. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, coach, is kind of maybe stepping away from Plattsburgh for a second, talking about your hockey family. And I don't not need to get too personal, but I know you have a family that plays hockey, and maybe tell us a little bit about that and how that's going for you.
Well, when you say that hockey family, I go back to my brothers and my mom and dad and everything that
Yep.
they did. I have 2 older brothers, 7 and 9 years older. So I was the guy that got stuck in net and street hockey. Even though my oldest brother was the goalie and got peppered with, the tennis balls and, black and blue, and they, I couldn't go home crying, and they get back in there. Mom's going to yell at us if you go home, so that's what I remember, playing tons of street hockey. And, we were fortunate. We lived 5 minutes from the rink, and our best friend or their best friend owned the rink. So we would go out at midnight, and I'd get to tag along with the older guys and get to play, and they'd let me play. And that's where I developed just the love and the passion for it. Was just those late nights to go out. Like, I was, again, I might've been 12 and they were 18 and 19, and I was getting to play with them and getting to stay up late. Like, that was the coolest thing ever. Right. And I'd come home at 1,
Right.
go to bed. So that was really fun for me. And just as you guys know, as hockey parents, the commitment level for hockey parents is through the roof. And, what you have to do for your son or daughter to be able to enjoy a game that they love, and the time commitments and practices and the early mornings and the long rides and so on and so forth. But so that's what I really remember. And now I'm getting with my son, who's 7,
Right.
mites, and, I'm on the ice with those guys and having fun with those guys. And, getting in that age group, you have obviously a wide variety of kids just learning to skate, to kids that are pretty good, that can motor, and, you can do some different things with. So it's great to see kids develop. And, just, again, they leave the rink with a smile on their face, and you're like, see you Wednesday. And they're like, can't wait, coach, see you Wednesday. That's fun for me too.
What's easier, a Plattsburgh college practice or a Mike practice? What's easier on you?
College, 100% easier.
I bet.
It's but it's they're just as fun, but for different reasons. Just the joy and the smiles that the kids have. And my favorite thing is, and I'm sure you guys have seen it on YouTube, is when a parent like puts a microphone on a 6-year-old and they just go and they start talking. Like, I love to listen to what the kids are saying. Kids today were talking about Christmas and life. And, we were sometimes we practice at the town rink, sometimes we're at the college rink. They're like, Coach, why are we at the college rink? Just in the middle of a drill, they'd be asking you that. So the conversations that you have with the kids are obviously a lot different, but I love it. It's fun. As long as you have a lot of coaches out there and they can help get kids in line or help take a station, it makes it a lot easier. When it's just yourself and you have 18 kids, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Trey, Cam, any questions of Coach? Anything you guys want to know as 14U Bantam hockey players?
What's your
Wow.
favorite thing about hockey?
Don't fill the airwaves, boys.
My favorite thing about hockey, oh man. As I've gotten older and into coaching, and I guess as a player too, it's just, it's being in the locker room, it's chatting it up with the guys, it's like, talking about the game or what happened, or getting to the hotel. And, we just went on our first road trip, and to be able to see guys in a different light, they're away from the rink, they're away from campus, they can kind of let their hair down a little bit. And to be able to sit there and have lunch with them or just listen to them on the bus, that's fun for me. Playing, it was with the guys. Winning hockey games was always, fun. And hey, who doesn't like to score goals? You know what I mean? Scoring goals,
Yeah.
that was fun. That was part of it. And I think I think you can get to a point where it's almost an addictive type thing, that feeling of winning, that feeling of playing well, that feeling of having an assist or scoring a goal. That's important, and kids like doing that, and I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We experienced it a little bit yesterday, Coach. It was funny. There was a picture that a parent took after our tournament game yesterday, and I mentioned to you that we played in the championship, and the picture was it was the yard sale on the ice. There were no kids. It was just a yard sale of equipment on the ice, and just to be able to see that picture, I, as a coach, I was like, man, that's a lot of joyfulness right there, just laying on the ice, hockey gloves, sticks, and helmets.
Absolutely,
It
yeah.
really
I mean,
is.
that and those are things that you remember, and
Right.
that's the fun piece of it. And then when you get off the ice and it's like, hey, let's go get something to eat, so
Yeah.
this must have been 2 years ago. It was a mite tournament up in Malone, and we were playing, and my son actually was playing goalie at the time, and we lost in the championship game with a second left, and everyone sat and crying, and then some, a father in the locker room's like, all right, we going to Dairy Queen? And everyone's like, yeah. And the tears stopped, and it's like, what are we getting for food? So that's just part of growing up and learning the game and enjoying the game and being with your family and their friends and having a good time with it. Because at the end of the day, we all end up playing men's league anyway.
Yep.
How much fun you have between now and then, and what you can learn, and the places you go and the people you meet.
Right. At the end of the day, it's nothing that a burger and some ice cream can't fix. So
Yeah.
That's right. Who doesn't want
At
that?
Dairy Queen, that's the place to go in Malone, right? I think Matt Jones was talking about that. They give away Dairy Queen certificates to their players, and makes everybody happy, right? Let's get some ice cream, and
No
that's
doubt.
great. Well, Dan, I don't get any other questions for Coach.
No,
Guys, you have
that's
anything else
great.
for him?
Yeah, Coach, I thank you. I really appreciate the time. Any last bit of what else you want to share with us? Boy, I'll listen to you all night, man.
Well, you guys will have to come up to Potsdam when we play, and maybe we can all get to, maybe we can do something before the game or after the game. We play them in the second semester. We're at home versus them here, so maybe we could do something along those lines. Get Coach
Yeah,
on
that'd be fun.
the podcast as well.
Yeah.
We got to get him. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to see if we can't schedule a game of our own up there the same weekend.
Right.
That'd be a blast.
That would be great.
I like to
And
play
Coach
those Canton boys again.
There you go. Coach Bernard would be awesome to have on your podcast too. He's a riot.
Okay.
He'll have some great sound bites. He's He's fun to talk to. So
Well, we're gonna have to. We'll give him an invite and say you were referred to us by Coach Moff.
he's a great man. Yep.
All right, Coach. Well, we're not going to keep you all night. We know you have an early bedtime. You're
That's
busy
right.
with mites and the boys of Plattsburgh. So on behalf of everybody at Power Play Podcast, we really do appreciate you coming on, and we wish you an awesome season. And thanks for joining us. And I know there's going to be a lot of boys and girls out there that really appreciate listening to you.
Well, thank you for what you're doing for New York hockey. It's awesome. And yeah, if we can get one more person that gets interested and wants to play, that's what it's all about is growing the game.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Yeah.
right,
Thanks,
guys.
Coach.
Yes, thank you,
Have
Coach.
a great night.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Good luck.
Wow,
right.
man. Pretty
That was-
impressive, huh?
Yeah, that was great. Oh, what a great interview. You know, as we keep interviewing people, keep getting, we get a lot of recommendations and ideas for more interviews. Coach Bernard up in Potsdam would be terrific. Even getting
Yeah.
an occasional college player on with us just to tell us what the weekend
Yeah.
was like, without using the F word. Tell me something about hockey,
Right.
Um,
Well, the feelers are out there for a couple different kids right now. So, hopefully we'll be able to round a couple of them up, get them on. These college players, they're real busy right now. So
okay.
trying to narrow them down is tough.
Yeah. Well, it's making time. That's all. They could be a much shorter interview. I bet you that every single one of them's on their phone right now. They could have joined the meeting.
Absolutely, for sure. So, Trey, you're up. What do you think about a little bit of Trey's trivia about this time? You got some good trivia questions for us today?
Yep. Okay. So I have 3 questions today because we didn't get to trivia last
That's right.
podcast, so I just have leftover ones.
Good. Fire
It's
away,
new to
bro.
everybody listening. Let them rip.
Okay. True or false? Alex Ovechkin has more points than Sidney Crosby.
I know he has more goals, obviously, because he's chasing Gretzky's record right now. I'm gonna say. What do you guys think? What do you think,
I'm
Cameron?
gonna say it's a baited trick question, and I'm gonna go false. Right? I think Crosby's pretty stellar in his
Crosby
day.
has. Yeah. I'm gonna go with you, Dan. I'm gonna say Crosby has more
Mm.
points than Ovechkin.
Yeah. I think going on with a trick question. He's going after the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go false.
Correct answer is false.
Right. So what are the total numbers?
I don't have the total numbers.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's all right. That's all right.
But
Yeah. I mean, that's when you look at points alone, right? How Gretzky's assists alone are the second most points in the all-time history of the NHL.
I know, it's crazy. They got to be close, right? Trey, Crosby, and Ovechkin total
yeah.
number wise. They got to be pretty close, I would think. All right, what's the next question, buddy? What do you got for us?
Okay. Who was the first NHL player to score 1,000 points?
The first NHL player to score 1,000 points. I'm gonna say Maurice Rocket Richard is my guess.
I don't think so.
You googling it?
No, I'm trying to think.
No?
I'm also writing it down in
Enjoy.
case I don't have this answer in my book of trivia. I'm stealing it, just like I stole your other one from 2 weeks ago.
You used it this weekend, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, you know what? I'm totally blanking. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No idea.
So you say the Rocket though, huh?
Yeah.
Boy.
I mean, it's got to be like Rocket Richard or Bobby Hull or Gordie Howe or something like that. I would think it's those guys back then.
Dale
So,
Hawerchuk.
Final answers.
First,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna say Rock Richard.
Howard Sharp.
Gordon Howe.
It was Gordy, huh? All right.
Yep.
Gordie Howe?
Mhm.
Did you say Gordie Howe? I missed it.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
And the
man, who would've
48th
thought?
in the 48th season of the NHL, in his like 900th and something game, he scored 1,000 his 1,000th point and became the first
Huh.
player to do so.
Awesome.
That's a good one. I like it. You said you have a third one?
First NHL.
Yep. So obviously the last team to win back-to-back Stanley Cups was the Tampa Bay Lightning because they just did it
Mhm.
this last year and the year before. But what was the team before that? The most recent team before that to do so?
Oh, you were saying it when we were at Tully's, weren't you? We were going through it, weren't you? Oh my God, what team was it?
The Maple Leafs. No.
No, cheapest call. They haven't won one in 67.
My God,
Crying out
Trey
loud.
was going through like every single
It's
one.
gotta
since
be, like-
2000. I think it's someone back to back. Oh, I can't.
Trey, I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, unfocused.
I'm gonna go with the Chicago Blackhawks. I think it's gotta be maybe them.
Detroit
Maybe.
Red Wings. Red Wings.
That's a good one.
I'm trying to get my cameras refocused. Oh, stop.
It could be you that
There you
went
go.
blurry.
There you go. You're
So
good.
what's your guess, Cameron? Prior to the Tampa Bay Lightning, the most recent NHL team to win back-to-back Stanley Cup titles.
Trey, do you even know?
Yeah.
He
I'm trying to think
asks
of
a
the
trivia
team.
question and doesn't have the answer.
Tell you the teams he's going to.
I'll tell you who it isn't. We
I
can
was about to go,
tell.
I was about to go.
we can-
I was about to go. Definitely the Sabres. One like a
It is definitely not the Sabres, and we can
Definitely
tell
not.
the Karen Dallin,
That's
whose anniversary is tonight, that the Buffalo Sabres not only have never won back-to-back, but they've never won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, the
Cup,
team right here.
but
Oh, yeah.
that team, yeah. All right, Cam, your last chance. Trey, if Cam doesn't guess within in 3 seconds, we're gonna have to come up with the right answer.
I'm totally blank on this one. I can't think of the teams he's going through.
Okay.
Go ahead, Trey.
Before we say the answer, I will say the second most recent team was the Detroit Red Wings,
Okay.
Oh,
but the most recent team was the Pittsburgh Penguins,
The Penguins.
Which he was
2016 and 2017.
Mm.
That see, it was
Yep.
it was one of the years that you're going through. I didn't
Wasn't even
expect
that
you to
long
do that.
ago. Holy cow.
The Blackhawks won
I
it.
have.
The
they
Blackhawks
did?
always won it in different years. They won it 2010, 2013,
Yep.
and 2015.
Oh, so it's like every other year.
Well,
Dan,
almost.
who would be the last team? I don't know if you'd know the answer to this trivia question, Dan. Who's the last team to win 4 consecutive Stanley
Boy.
Cups?
I
Do you
know the
happen to know
answer.
the answer to that?
Boy, you know what? That sounds like they would be pretty amazing. They must have had an amazing lineup, some memorable goalies, a goalie credited with the first goal ever even on that team. It's got to be the Islanders.
Correct the window, right? Didn't the Oilers blew it? Didn't they, Trey? Didn't they lose one in between? They had like 3 in a row and then lost one, then won 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little stretch there, like that.
Canadians did it before the Islanders too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
Canadians
did it
definitely did
the
before.
Islanders. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It was pretty cool.
And the
So,
team with the most championships in their sports,
Montreal.
Montreal, right?
New York
it-
Yankees, baby.
Is it the New York Yankees?
27.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, well yeah, that's
27.
27. The Canadians haven't won a Stanley Cup in a long time. They're in
Yep.
a bit of a drought, that's for
91?
sure.
Something like that?
Yeah, somewhere around there. So what do we have? We have any updates from the college world? I got a couple.
I have a couple.
Why don't you go first and I'll see if I can cue mine up, Dano.
Yeah. So RIT men's over the weekend were in Canisius, in Buffalo, playing Canisius.
Yep.
They lost on Friday 2-5. They lost on Saturday 1-4. Not a great weekend for the men's hockey team at RIT. The women's hockey team at RIT did less good. They were in Minnesota on Friday.
Less good.
They lost 0-10, and on Saturday they lost 1-7. So that was Must have been a
Wow.
tough trip home for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Outscored 17-1.
Yeah. So the women's
Yeah.
team is 0 and 14
Vancouver
this
Canucks.
year so far, 0 and 2 in conference. The men's team is 5-5 and 2 and 3-3, 2 and 2 in conference. SU men's over the weekend lost 0-8 in Stony Brook, and they lost 1-9 in Stony Brook. The only
Wow.
shining gem in upstate New York this weekend, I believe, were the Watertown Wolves. So 14
Yeah, well, yeah, they had a good run. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk a little youth hockey here in a minute. That's good stuff. I got a couple updates on the skating Saints in the Golden Knights. The St. Lawrence men's 2-3-4 overall played Dartmouth on Friday night, lost 3-2. And then followed it up with another Ivy League matchup against the Harvard Crimson. And that was a 1-1 game. And it registers as a tie. The ECAC does not recognize the shootout.
Mhm.
So in the college standings, they still have a win, loss, and tie column. However, they do conduct the shootout, I guess, to some kind of NCAA compliant thing. And Harvard did win the shootout. So technically the Saints went 0-2. And then Skating Saints on the women's side lost at Mercyhurst, another local team, 3-2 on Friday, and then tied them on Saturday. And a point of interest, and I'm picking up my phone here just to kind of reference back a little bit because I was talking with my wife a little bit about the Skating Saints, and we'd like to have Coach Chris Wells from St. Lawrence on. I actually got an email from him today, and I think he's going to be joining us in an upcoming episode, and he's absolutely hilarious. St. Lawrence has they're missing 3 Olympians from their roster, right? So I think that's having a significant impact on what they're able to put on the ice. They have 2 women playing for the Chinese women's Olympic team, and then they have 1 woman, Julia Gossing, playing for the Canadian women's team, top scorers and an underclassman. So they're missing some significant firepower and stopping power there. So got to give them credit, that they're still poking on. And that happens to a lot of the women's college teams. It used to happen to the men's teams before they allowed the professionals to play.
Mhm.
And then on the men's side with Clarkson, they had a good weekend. Typically they play the same teams that St. Lawrence plays. They kind of travel together. They beat Harvard on Friday night 6-2. And then they shut out Dartmouth 3-0 at Shield the next night, Saturday night. So
Wow.
that's good win for them for sure. And then those 2 teams are going to be traveling down to play Quinnipiac in Princeton in the coming weeks. So that actually next weekend they actually travel together. So St. Lawrence and Clarkson men's teams will be playing Quinnipiac in Princeton, and then rolling along at 11-1-2 are the Clarkson women, and obviously they're unbelievable. They played out in Missouri against Lindenwood University, which is a relatively young startup Division I program, and they won both games by a score of 5-3. So that's what we have so far on the college front. I did get some local youth scores that I can go through.
Well, I think the boys have some local youth scores. Why don't we have them
Oh, do they?
report first?
Yeah. What do you got for local? What do you got for local stuff? Trey, why don't you go first?
So the winner of the Watertown 14U tournament for the red team was the Watertown Wolves. They won this fall frenzy tournament.
Yep. 100%.
And for the white team, it's the Albany Troy, right?
Albany, Troy, Albany, Titans. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cam can go over the scores of the games for us, for the Wolves.
Okay. First game, Friday night against the Cicero Chill. Ended up being a 1-0 game. Some kid Don't really know who he is. No, he's pretty bad at hockey. Scored like what, like the first like minute of the game.
That was a
Nothing.
quick goal you got. Yep.
46 seconds, I think.
46 seconds,
Hmm.
something like that, and nothing else was scored.
Yeah, who'd have thought, huh? 46 seconds in, you score a goal against the Cicero Chill, and it holds up the whole game.
And
Nice.
you guys played them a couple times before that, and
Yes.
they were always close games, but normally more than one goal in a game. I thought we were gonna have quite a different type of battle, but what a
Yeah,
great
for
game.
sure.
And for the players of that game, I'd say it's Cam and all three of the goalies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
Uh,
And then what about the next game, Tam?
second game. We played. Was it Ramapo?
Nope.
Was it not Ramapo that game? What was the first game?
Nope. Trey, do you know who the second game was?
No, wait.
Who did we play in the second game?
It's on Saturday.
Played the ADK 46ers.
That's what it was. Oh,
Yeah.
Adirondack. Not
Yeah.
Ramapo. We didn't play Ramapo at all.
No, we did not.
Adirondack 46ers.
Right. Tell us about that game. Yeah, what are your memories of that game? Trey, you got anything? Cam?
I do.
I do too, but Cam go first.
First period. There was a hat trick by Nick Neto. And it's scoring 4 goals in that game. With the first period just alone, got a hat trick.
Wow.
And
Is that a natural hat trick? What's the ruling on that?
That'd be 3 in a row, right?
3 in a row.
Yeah.
With nobody from the other team scoring
No one
either.
else scoring either.
Okay.
Right.
So
it was
wasn't.
close. Yeah. I believe the
Yeah.
announcer said something about that during the game too.
Who was the
Yeah.
announcer?
I don't know. Don't know him. I like to know him one day.
That'd be crazy. You
Um,
should try picking your head up from your phone when he's driving the car, for you to practice.
and all of Nick's line mates had 3 or more points.
Were you one of those line mates?
I was.
Yes, he
And
was.
did you happen to get a playmaker in that game, which is 3 assists, which is
Yes.
really important in the Dallin family?
It is.
Yes, I got a playmaker. Nick got a hat trick +1, as he said in the locker room. And
Hat trick +1.
Owen got 2 goals and an assist. I mean,
Nice.
2 assists and a goal.
2 assists and a
2
goal.
assists and a goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Assists makes goals happen. If you scored
Mhm.
goals
They
all by
sure do.
yourself, you're not going to get many at all.
And then I
Assists are way
scored.
more
Yeah.
important.
I scored in that game also.
Did you?
Because Nick scored 2. No, sorry, 4. Then what was it? Owen scored 2.
Yep.
No, Owen
Yeah.
scored 1. Owen scored 1.
I
Cameron
scored
scored
1.
1.
I scored 1, and
And the final was 7-2. So someone else must have scored 1. Who scored the first goal?
who just scored?
Did Nate have a goal
Was it
in that
Nate?
game? I don't know. I'd have to look at the sheet. Wish we would have had some notes on that.
Yeah. I thought they were grabbing them. I didn't bring mine
Yeah, I
up.
thought they were pretty good with that. All right, so let's go to the third game of the weekend. Let's see if you remember who that was, Cameron.
Binghamton.
Think
I
you need
remember
to
that
take
one.
notes on these. Yeah. Okay. What was the score of that game?
3-0. 3-0.
Good deal.
Oh, it was Connor Duke, by the way.
Was it,
Yes,
was it
Connor LeDuc.
Oh yeah, his
Yeah,
first
he
shift.
had a
first
goal,
shift
yeah.
out,
That's
shift
right.
First
out,
shift out.
First shift out.
Yep.
Scored. That's what it was.
When he was moved up to wing, Connor LeDuc, the legendary Connor LeDuc, moved up from defense to
From
wing.
goalie to defense to wing.
Defense to wing. He's made a lot of steps over the last couple of years. And bang, first shift or 2 out there as a winger, and he's lighting the lamp. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Right. And I don't think he played defense the rest of the tournament. Right.
No, and he may not play defense for the rest of the year. That's what the rumor circuits have out there. Things might be changing. So Cam, go through the 3-0 game. See if we remember who the goal scorers in that
Oh,
game
yeah.
were.
Yeah, don't remember that one.
The score,
Um,
I think Trey might remember. Trey has a pretty good
Trey
memory.
might.
Well, I do remember it was quite a legendary goal by Bryce. I don't know how to Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Yeah, Rutherford. Yes.
Be first.
And then Nate Taylor had 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah,
sure
I'm
did.
pretty sure Nate did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate had 2. I remember one of them because it was a shorthanded goal and I was in the box.
Yeah. That's a place we don't want you. We don't want you in the box. So then, so that gave us 3 wins, and then we were able to wind up playing in the championship against a super talented Canton team.
Yes.
And I just think they were a really good team. I think they were a formidable opponent.
Mhm.
And why don't you guys give us your thoughts on that game, because I know it was really intense. So, Cam, give us your thoughts on that game.
Okay. First thing I want to say, I would not mind. It's like Cicero. I would not mind playing him again. Like, I feel
Right.
like that was a pretty good game.
Mhm.
Came out first period with 2 goals.
Who
for
scored
us.
who scored the first goal?
The first goal. Who was it? My God, I want to say it's. I was out on that line. I remember that.
Cameron, here's what we're gonna have you do next week, because you have 2 games against Clinton next week, right?
Yes,
Is
one
I
one
want you to-
England, one of
Yeah,
them
one in
at
Clinton.
Watertown.
We're gonna take notes on those. Who scored
Yes.
the first goal, Trey? Do you know?
Owen O'Donnell,
That's who
Owen
I know.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, with the assist
Uh,
from
Nicholas Neto,
8 from 88.
and
8
then
from 88.
following it up was
Mateo,
Mateo
right?
from Carter.
Mateo. Yeah. So I knew the
Well,
second one was
they might
Mateo.
have. I think the announcer got it wrong actually and said Mateo from Jake.
I'm doing my best up there. Absolutely. You know, there is minimal to zero communication from the scorer's booth to me. So whatever I see is what I say.
And actually, we had to go. I went through the play in slow mo and actually saw that, so I wouldn't have known either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I will say this. We looked at that play pretty closely, and I got to give Mateo Dalpe dangled, man. And I'm telling you,
Yes.
and Carter Nethers was triple teamed in the slot and winds up somehow getting the puck through like his legs and 2 other kids' legs to Mateo. He goes back, forth, goalie makes a move, and it's a roofaroni with a side of cheese. It was unbelievable.
and
And
then
then
so
go.
Canton comes back hard with 2 goals, and then Nate Taylor scores, but the goal is called off for.
My
a
God,
reason I
it
don't
was
know.
that one. Yeah.
So, yeah,
And
go ahead.
then so Nate passes to the slot to Jake, and the defenseman is sliding, trying to block the pass. The defenseman slides into the goalie. Their defenseman slides into the goalie. The puck goes in the net, and the ref calls it off.
Yeah, it was passed over. Goalie intercepted it, took it. No whistle. The defenseman not touched at all by other players. Slides right to the goalie, pushed him in the net.
And then, so that goal was called off.
Mhm.
And then Nate Taylor wins the faceoff back to Graydon Hans, who bombs one into the left side of the net.
Yes.
Mhm. That was a pretty
Let
goal.
me
That-
tell you, I was on the bench and I looked over at Coach Neto, and we've talked about Coach Neto, and we talked about Nick Neto, and we talk about our sponsor, Power Play Sports. The Netos are owners of the Power Play Sports. Great family, great hockey family. But I said, that's the hockey gods making it right.
Mhm.
Because that call, and then we looked at that call, we looked at that play over and over, and Coach Myros actually sent me a copy of that video. It was totally a goal. So gave us the 3-2 lead. And honestly,
Yep.
that was a little bit of a backbreaker, don't you think, guys? Like, they felt good because the goal got disallowed. It stayed 2-2, and then we just won the draw and pounded it. And Graydon's a great leader on our team, and he hadn't had a goal all season. And what a great time to get one, right?
Yes, that goal reminded me of one that I remember seeing by Jack Eichel. His team they scored one, waved off, led off the face off. No, so they took the face off. He went over to Alex Ovechkin's spot right in the left side dot. Took a clap one time right to the back of the net, and his goal celebration, since the first one was waved off, he did the motion for them.
Oh, that's right. I remember that video. That video is pretty popular, isn't it?
Are you sure that wasn't Austin Matthews?
No,
Oh, it might have
no,
been.
I
It might have been.
I remember it was Jack Eichel.
So Trey, tell us about
And Oscar
since
Matthews.
somebody else was Trey, tell us about the fourth goal so we can move on because I don't want the guy who scored the fourth goal to talk about the fourth goal. So I'd like you to kind of give the
every single
highlight.
detail about that goal. Go ahead, Trey.
Oh, it was a pretty bad goal. No, it wasn't.
Let's be serious.
He skated he skated end to end and put it on the back end, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
Why
I
did you go to the
apologize to
backhand?
Brody McGregor for not
Brody
announcing a
should
save
contact us.
for I mean the save announcing an assist for him when I was calling that game because it came off of Brody's pad. He dished it out to Cameron, and Cameron
Yeah.
went coast to coast on it and scored.
Yeah.
and
It was,
Cam started the tournament and ended the tournament.
With a goal. Cam, why did you go to the backhand? Because it was a good backhand. It was a tough backhand.
it's a good question. I was just on that side, and there was this
Mhm.
kid still like toward like my right shoulder, and I don't know, my trusty back, and I've always used my back, and it always comes in clutch when I need it.
Yeah. Hey Trey, tell us about that. You know, it's 4-2. There's where they pull the goalie, and I got to give some props to Canton because they delivered. And that kid made that one player from Canton made an unbelievable goal. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Canton player?
Yeah, Briggsy. He's a
Yep.
pretty good. He's a good lacrosse goalie, and he went in between the legs and sniped it top right corner.
Sadly, that was the
Yeah.
only goal, the one goal Brody let in the entire tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We had some great goaltending. I mean, the whole weekend in our division. I think I think Aiden let in 4 goals and
4
Brody let
goals,
in
yeah.
1. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And that Briggs kid was fun to watch all weekend. I
Oh
enjoyed
yeah.
calling him.
he's feisty.
He's got a lot of energy, doesn't he?
Yeah, I love the hair too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he kind of
Yeah,
reminded me of
I-
Briggs from Lethal Weapon. It's all I thought of every
Yeah.
time I saw him. I did everything I could not to mention Lethal Weapon when I was calling for him.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I'd be remiss to not talk a little bit about one of the Unity lacrosse players too that was on that team. A boy by the name of Jack Brandy had a heck of a game. He actually scored their first goal. His dad's a friend of mine. Had a heck of a game. He also plays for the St. Lawrence Steel. So it was good to see him out there scoring goals. Our white team had a great weekend as well. Not quite as fortunate. They had a tough division. I really feel like one of the teams in their division probably actually could have played in our next division up. They started off with a nice 3-2 win against Whitestown. And you know, it was 2-2 and they wound up scoring towards the end of the game to take the lead and actually held the lead. And then had a tough go of it with a team on Saturday, a team from it was Troy. Was it Troy Albany or Albany Troy?
Troy Albany.
Titans.
Yeah.
Troy Albany.
Troy Albany.
They pretty much beat up everybody pretty good.
Mhm.
But you know, and then our team wound up playing in the consolation game, and they gave Whitestown a really good run.
There was a couple of
a
couple of those Troy Albany white players that played up in the Red Championship game.
For Ken?
Oh
No.
Wait. No, you know what?
You must be thinking a different term.
Yeah, I am. No, you know, I was thinking of the 3-4, the consolation game that Troy Albany Titans had for us for the red for the red division. That's what I was thinking. So to back up what you were saying though, there were some players on that white team that certainly were comfortable holding their own in the red division.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it was nice because, you know, there was some bonding, and I gotta give of the coaches on that team and the players huge amount of props too, because they came back and supported us big time in the championship game. The kids were there. They were behind our bench wearing their jerseys. The coaches came. Coach Doherty, who's new to the program, was there. Coach Nutting was there. It was good to have those guys there supporting us in the championship game for sure. And then we had some kids come, you know, from different clubs that we've played on too that were there. Like, you know, Evan Sanford was there, and And
Big
Cardiff
Rig.
Finney was there, so it was
Big
really good.
Rig.
Big Rig was there. Yeah, so that was nice. It was nice. It was a great weekend, and I got to give props to the Dan Dallin. Amazing. How many games did you call?
20.
20. Man,
And you know what?
Yeah.
I can't sit down when I call a game either. So I stood
I
for that whole
noticed
time. I can't. I couldn't sit if I tried. Not a chance. And there were some games too where I was like, all right, I'm going to lose my voice before this tournament's over. I can't yell on this one. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's all
fun.
based on how the game goes. I can't not yell. I get excited. It's hockey, man. Come on now.
yeah, for sure.
I went up
Absolutely.
sometimes, sat with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, got a bit loud, but
Yeah, I have some visitors in there from time to time, and I think it's hard for some visitors to come in because I'll make comments and I will say things, and I'm looking sometimes right at the person that's in the room with me, but they know if they say something, they're going to get heard, and they just don't want to. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with some color commentating. We can go back and forth, but that is something that you have to prepare for, right? I get prepped for each game.
I have a
Spend some-
question for you, actually.
Yeah.
What was going on with Evan Sanford there?
Yeah, you
So-
called them out. You
I
called
did
them out.
call, so I do have to admit, when I started making, so I take the rosters that are given, and some of them I just need to rearrange so it makes more sense so I can read them as play is going on. There's no real set lines for any youth hockey teams that I've seen. They can generally fall into a pattern, but like for the Wolves red team, they're 5 defensemen. So there's no fix. These two are always on defense together. It just doesn't happen. So I can't organize my rosters like that. I just keep them in number order. So I have to rearrange them. So I started the rosters I had to copy over for the weekend with the Summer Unity roster, actually, because it was, most of the kids. And then I just removed the ones that weren't on the Wolves team and went from there. I missed a couple. And it was,
I think Evan Sanford was happy he wanted to come out and get a medal.
That's right.
I'm like, well, you should have stuck around.
As I was halfway through his name, I was like, I never said this name all weekend. And I was like, oh, and then everybody looking up at me. I'm like, oh man. And then I should have told him just to take a knee, right? Because that kid loves playing from one knee.
Yeah, he sure does.
Well,
I think one of the games I went down on one knee.
yeah. So
you probably thought of Evan. You're probably like, I probably
Yes,
look like Evan right now.
I put my knee down. I was like, oh, pulling Evan.
I'm kind of
Awesome.
glad he was there, though. That was nice that he was
Yeah.
there, cheering on friends that he has on multiple teams. So that's good. At least I didn't say his name and he wasn't even around to know what the heck happened and why.
So I do have a couple of girls scores to report. I have a couple really detailed girls reports that I really like to follow up on here. One is from Piper Gonas out in the field with the Thousand Islands Lady Pirates. Piper gets us a report every week. Even today, when she's starting her high school hockey season, she's actually started the first day of high school hockey with the Thousand Islands high school team. So good luck to you with that this year, Piper Gonas, and thank you for keeping us up to date on what's going on with the TI Lady Pirates in the field. The Pirates had a game this weekend against the Ithaca Stars. Piper's mom, Carrie, who's not, she's not hockey wise yet, but she did say that the Ithaca Stars did have really cool uniforms. So that's a good observation from her mom. Piper gave me the game overview, which is very interesting because we actually had a game like this that actually played out this way. 0-0 until the last minute of the game. We actually had a 0-0 game this weekend, Dan, which is just absolutely unheard of. But especially at youth hockey. But 0-0 between Ithaca and the TI Pirates, and then Ithaca scored in the last minute to make it a 1-0 game. So a loss for them. But she said it was a really fun game and really competitive. Who was it this weekend, Dan, that played to a 0-0 tie in our tournament? Which I don't. think
I
I've
knew you
seen
were about to
forever.
say.
I remember it.
Was it?
Canton
was it-
and
It's Canton and Cicero.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It was, yes. Canton, and Cicero. 0-0. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, Cicero's
Hey.
goalies must have been great because we only beat 1-0.
Yeah, they have a good squad. They have
Yeah.
a good squad. They just they got to watch their penalty minutes. That's all there is to that, right?
Same
I
with
mean,
me.
yeah, for sure. Hey, so let me follow up with another score. And this one is from Oswego, the Buccaneers. What's the joke about the Buccaneers, Dan?
No,
You say it
please,
every time I
no.
mention them.
$2
Come
a
on.
kid, man. It's $2 a kid to play. Buccaneer.
Buccaneer? That's it, $2 a kid. Right. So
Where's the live one? With they play some rugby.
hey, how did you guys move around in the thing? Now Trey's up there and you're down there.
Oh,
Anyways, let me give you the update from the
I
field.
accidentally raised
And
my
I
hand.
asked for this update because last week my co-host Cameron Dallin was falling asleep and couldn't give me a good update because he was so tired because he's doing his homework late at night, or hopefully he's doing his homework late at night. But this came from Jillian Keegan and Estelle Dallin, who are on that team together. November 13th, 12U girls, Oswego Buccaneers had 2 games at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. against the Adirondack North Stars 12U girls from Glens Falls, New York. Game 1, the Buccaneers won 3-1. Goal scored by Jillian Keegan, number 86, and Estelle Dallin, number 75. I love those numbers, ladies. Those are power numbers for you guys. You guys are going to be identified by those numbers, and that is super cool. Great job, Jillian and Estelle. Game 2, Buccaneers won 5-2. 2 goals scored by Claire Furlong. Sounds like she's a heck of a hockey player, number 72. Kara Shue, number 1. Clementine Rastley, number 21. And Estelle Dallin, number 75. Wow, that's great. Estelle, another game with a goal. She's really, Karen, you're really following her footsteps. I'm glad you're modeling your game after your sister. That's good.
She was elated. One of those was a coast to coast. She was so thrilled that she was able to take the puck from one end all the way down to the other and score.
Really?
Yeah.
She's been watching Cameron highlight videos on YouTube.
So I don't know, but she did another one. She did a snapshot. She, hit it really hard. She said it didn't lift up off the ice, but it stayed low. It was going so fast. It went right through the 5-hole. So
wow,
that's something that Cameron does not do, hard and fast. Yeah. He's got to go and
mine trickles on the ground every time I thought on the ground.
Hey, and then I have another report from the ladies. Jillian and Estelle got me this one for Sunday, November 14th. The Oswego Buccaneers played against CP Dynamo. Now I'm afraid just by that name.
Clifton Park
CP
Dynamo. They went to Clifton Park to play 2 games of hockey.
Yeah. This team is rumored to be 22nd in the U.S. for girls hockey. Imagine that. That's pretty high. Game 1. Tied 2-2. Goals scored by Clementine Rastley, number 21, and Claire Furlong, number 72. Congratulations, ladies. That's a great game. Game 2, the Buccaneers lost 5-1. Sounds like they were tied. That's their 4th game in 2 days on the road. A lot of hockey. Lost 5-1. However, the 1 goal scored by Jillian Keegan, the sister of the legendary Daniel Keegan, also known now as Keegs on the bench. We call him Keegs. Jillian scored. Yeah, that's a pretty cool name. Number 86. I like that number. So the Oswego Buccaneers are now on the season 2-3-1 overall. Upcoming games for the Buccaneers at the Anthony Crisafulli Ice Rink on Saturday, November 20th at 2 p.m. and at the Skinny Atlas YMCA and Community Center on Sunday, November 21st at 11. That's awesome. Thank you for giving us such awesome highlights. This was written by Jillian Keegan and illustrated by Estelle Dallin. Wow, great job. We need more reports like that from the field, Cameron. You need to start taking notes of your games. Next weekend, Cameron, you're tasked with the Clifton notes of the game.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you handle it?
We'll see.
I mean, I don't know. Is he getting his homework done?
I hope so. He was home most of the day.
Almost all of it.
Almost.
I also wanted to add for any Ottawa Senators fans, their next 3 games have been postponed due to COVID-19.
Really? Is that just hot off the wire? I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, earlier today. It was.
Coach, I
I
like
believe it
that,
was
Sam.
against
I like that.
Nashville.
ahead.
The 3 games were going to be against Nashville, New Jersey, and New York Rangers, and all 3 of them were postponed. So if you're fans of
Wow.
any of those teams, then
But
Here we go again.
I actually do have some game recaps from Salmon River over the weekend.
Oh, nice. I like the Salmon River hat too, Coach Dan.
Yeah,
Representing.
absolutely.
We have
Uh,
some Bailey data. We have some info on
yes,
Bailey.
yes, I actually have one
nice
from
stuff.
Sunday.
Yep.
So Saturday, the Salmon River 12U played the Fulton 12U in Oswego, and that team had a mix of Fulton players and Oswego players. And the Salmon River actually had a big win over Fulton with a score of 13-4.
Jeez,
oh,
There was
crazy.
2 hat tricks by Connor DeMott, number 4,
Connor
And-
Dynamite DeMott. Yeah.
and then Connor Ford, number 97. And along with Gabriela Francisco for the first goal.
All right. Way to go, Gabby.
Congratulations. Nice.
Yes.
This is good stuff, Cameron. Maybe I was giving you too hard of a time. Keep rolling, bro.
Oh, I know what his source is.
And
gonna say it's-
definitely
oh,
not
yeah.
my mother. Then the same with 14U, tough loss against Whitestown. Did not get the score or who scored in that game.
Okay.
Then Saturday evening, the same with 18U team played Corning 3 at home. Apparently Corning came out to play, fast gaining, crisp passing. And Sam River lost 6-0 to Corning. Then switching over to Sunday, the 18U team came out strong against Valley. And actually, my brother, Oliver Bailey, plays on the 18U team. Salmon River, 1 point, winning 5-2. Then Valley came back within they came back and then they came back. We're losing 6-5 to Salmon River. Then ended up coming out, scoring 2 more goals, and in the last minute and a half to win the game.
Salmon River was up 5-2, and Valley ended up coming back to win the game 7-6.
oh,
Tough turn of events
Wow.
there for Salmon River. Way to keep fighting and clawing, though, for Valley.
Yes.
It's never over though, Dan. We saw that this weekend. I think we saw a game in our tournament that was
5-1,
5-1 at
right?
one point. And that team lost, right? 6-5, didn't they? You got to play
Yeah.
to the final whistle. I mean, that's a
Absolutely.
fact. I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen that.
Didn't that was
Anything else?
Yes. The 14U team on Sunday played Camillus Blue in Camillus.
Hmm.
Sam River won 6-2. And my former teammate from when I
Greg?
played in Flask Guys for Sam River. I think Trey might know him. Jackson Smith scored 4 goals in that game.
No way.
Yeah.
Way to be Jackson. All right. Coming up
Wow.
big.
I played him in soccer this year.
Yeah. Scored 4 goals. The Leah's team winning 6-2.
Well, when you said Camillus 14U, I thought you were going to talk about Greg from Unity.
Greg Wood. Yeah, Greg Wood
Greg
from our
Wood.
Unity team is I miss old Greg. I wonder how Greg's doing. I've saw a
Yeah.
few highlights. I'm gonna tell his mom we talked about him on this podcast. Maybe we can get some Camillus updates from Woody.
Yeah. So that's something I think would be great for everybody that's listening to this podcast, coaches, team reps, a player maybe, after your game, just send a quick recap, at least final score, what team you are, like where you play, what your level is, who you played against, what the score is. A couple of tidbits would be fantastic. Email them to us at powerplaypodcastnny@gmail.com. That's all you got to do. Type in powerplaypodcastnny@gmail.com and let us know how your team fared over the weekend. Do it right after the game. That'd be great. You're all on your phone in the car. Start thumbing that baby right in and send it off to powerplaypodcastnny@gmail.com. And you'll hear reports here from us.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. And, we want more of that at the end too. So we got to reach out to the different folks that are listening. And, if you could just send them to us at our email address, it's super helpful because then we can just get that information right out to you every week. Guys, got anything else great on the front before I get into the mullet of the week?
Oh, that's all.
Nope.
All right. Yeah. Let's see who gets the Mao.
Who gets the Mao?
The Mao.
Well, I am going to share a picture here in a minute of the Mao. But before we get into the Mao, I want to tell you about, if you're following us on social media at all, we have a new feature at the Power Play Podcast. We're always coming up with new ideas. And the Power Play Podcast's new feature is going to be called let me just read it verbatim so I make sure I don't mess it up. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the post and read it to you from Facebook. It's called the 92 Challenge. Our sponsor, Power Play Sports, has stepped up again to kick in an awesome prize to the winner of our new podcast feature. And there'll be a winner every week, much like the mullet of the week. And by the way, folks, we're running low on mullets, so get your mullet in. The 92 Challenge commemorates Wayne Gretzky's record of 92 goals in a season. That might be a great trivia question, Dan. So email or post a test score or quiz with a 92 or grade level A or higher to powerplaypodcastnny@gmail.com, or just post it on social media on our Facebook Power Play Podcast site. And if you do that and you're selected as the 92 Challenge winner of the week for a 92 grade or higher, you could win one of these three prizes, and the choice is yours, as donated by our sponsor, Power Play Sports. Howie's Stick Wax, 2 rolls of tape, or an original, like I have on right here, Power Play hat, which is really cool. Power Play Sports hats are really cool. I have an orange one, and I'm really, really excited. So there'll be one prize winner of the 92 Challenge, in addition to our prize winner for the mullet of the week every week. It's pretty cool idea, don't you think?
Yeah. I'd like to throw one contest out, just a one-time contest, perhaps, for recommendations, submissions for a weekly contest that we can have for girls, because
that's a good idea.
Boys grow mullets, girls don't generally grow mullets, right? So what's something that the girls have and can do?
That's a good idea.
So, because we want to be equal to all genders, right? So if you're not a boy and you play hockey, what is a thing? What's a thing that we can have a contest about each week?
Any girls watching the podcast, email us at
At where?
powerplaypodcastnny@gmail.com.
That's right.
And any suggestions for anything we could do.
That'd be real nice. So, hey, I want to share a screen share real quick for those of you who tune in
on Facebook
or see
YouTube.
us on YouTube. And let me just make sure I get it up right here. And there is our mullet of the week winner. This young man right here, Braylon Nutting, at Supercuts, dialing in. He not only has a mullet, but he keeps that thing dialed in every week. And Braylon submitted right at the beginning, and this mullet is fancy, and he's also wearing a Unity lacrosse shirt. It is definitely some, I would call it super salad on his squash. That thing is legitimate. And I got to see that thing this weekend and talk to it firsthand. We were talking about deer hunt. Braylon, you look like you're out deer hunting with that. All I need to do is throw a camouflage hat on you and have you driving an IROC Z, and you'd fit perfect with that mullet. Braylon Nutting, that is amazing, an amazing mullet. So you are the winner of the mullet of the week, and you can claim your ball cap just like mine. We can't get CCM ball caps. We have to get just the Power Play Sports ball caps. I got to remind you that. Coach Trimper wanted me to remind everybody, Power Play Sports hats just like this to the winner. Braylon, have your mom.
Were you talking to
What?
Braylon or were you talking to his hair? Because it's almost like they're separate beings.
I know it really is. It's almost like his hair has its own personality, doesn't it?
It definitely does. I like it.
Yeah.
Well done, Mr.
Awesome.
Nutting.
Yes, well done. So Mom Vega, Dad Brian, make sure you get him over there for his next skate sharpening and have him pick up his free, well, not really free. He grew a mullet to win the thing. So there was some cost associated with that thing for sure. I'm
He earned
sure
it.
that Vega wants that thing cut off by now. It's got to be driving her crazy. Cameron, I need you to grow out a mullet. What do you think of that?
No.
No?
I'm
No,
not
not
joining
your
the
style?
mullet gang. No,
No?
I'll stay out of the mullets.
Trey's got some flow going on. Trey, turn your head sideways. Let's show us what you got for
Will it
lettuce.
show?
Oh,
Will it show?
I don't even know if it'll show.
He's gonna have to turn off that
Yeah.
background there. Yeah.
Yeah, in that background. What do you got there for us? Wow.
Go to the side. Let's
Look
see
at
that stuff
that
in the
thing.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah. It's pretty
It's getting
good.
there.
But you know what? As an official host of the Power Play podcast, you are ineligible to win any prizes associated with anything we give.
That's
That's one
right.
of the disclaimers that I don't know what's that official disclaimer, how it reads, but so, hey, Dan, real quick, before we sign off, what's up for you with broadcasting and live calling of games coming up in the future here? I know you had a busy weekend last weekend with the Watertown tournament. What do you have coming up?
So
in the
this
future?
coming weekend, there's a one hockey tournament sponsored by onehockey.com at the Cicero Twin Rinks, just one of the rinks, the one that's working. But they are coming to Syracuse, and I will be there, available to live stream and provide recording of your game if you're playing at the one hockey tournament this weekend. Just contact me and we'll connect and get that situated.
That's awesome. And I know I was talking to Colin Whitmore, former winner of the Mullet of the Week, and I know his team is participating in that this weekend, and I know he's looking forward. I know his mom and dad are for sure looking forward to listening to some of the Dan Dallin and his broadcasting of that tournament. So, Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you because I always seem to mess up the closure. So I to make it a great, that whole thing is I've got to
Oh my
rehearse
goodness.
that a little bit more.
We're
You know,
gonna have to
it's-
practice and we'll all say it together and that'll end it. But
Yeah.
right. Don't wait for it to be a good day. Make it a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank you.
everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks.
Have a great week. Hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.